everyone. Thanks for joining us today on The Show Must Go On line. Today's guests are my fellow Broadway Makers Alliance members. How are y'all doing today?
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Okay, that was super cheesy, but yes, I'm excited to be here.
I love it. The cheesier, the better. Now, we have a bunch of people on today, which is a little different. So we're going to navigate it, and it'll be glorious. So I'm going to go in the order that I see it here, and we can always change it up a little bit. So, Laura, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who you are and kind of your origin story?
Yeah, so my name is Laura Bonacci. I'm a theater illustrator and sketch artist. So I'm really interested in sort of the intersection of the visual and performing arts, and that manifests in lots of different ways. But mostly I really love making illustrations inspired by Broadway, selling prints of that, and then also doing work for hire, people in the theater community who want to, make a special memory, have a special memory and make it into an image or beef up social media. And I got started with all of that when I got into college.
Yes, I love it. I love checking out all of your illustrations, and especially recently that you said you've been hired to do some work, and it's been so much fun. That's one of my favorite things of being in the Broadway Makers Alliance, is just seeing all of the awesome work from fellow creatives in this industry, and we will talk way more about it. But first, of course, it's good to get a little intro of everyone. So Andrea, you're next.
Ooh, I'm next. Hi, my name is Andrea Koehler, and I am the founder of Coloring Broadway and also one of the founding members of the Broadway Makers Alliance. I got into coloring Broadway because myself and my illustrator, Justine Fisher, loved Broadway. We loved creating coloring products. I love creating things that allow us to slow down and spend a little time with important concepts. So what could be better than putting Broadway lyrics that we love on a coloring page and creating that? So that was really how Coloring Broadway got started. And then when I was at 2018, when I was at Broadway Con for my first time, I met a whole bunch of other awesome people doing awesome Broadway making things. And I talked to a bunch of them. And then I thought, hey, we need to have some sort of group where we can all talk to each other and not reinvent the wheel every day, which in business and in entrepreneurship and in artisticness is really difficult. So we talked for a little while, and then the 4 founding members came together, put something together. We now have 55 plus members in the Broadway Makers Alliance, and I love getting to work with and know each of them and just see all the fabulous. Sometimes it's, I need help on this, and sometimes it's, oh my God, could we figure out how to do this? It's such a great conversation and a way to see things grow. So that's a little bit about me.
I love
and
it.
Apparently I am glowing right now, so I'll try and stop the ghosting.
Fabulous.
It's angelic.
Glowing.
Yeah.
Yes. Fabulous. Yes, Ryan. I love, Andrea, that it's like the founding fathers. How timely with Hamilton.
The founding mothers, right?
Yes.
Or just the founding humans. We're going to see founding humans. Work.
Yes, humans indeed. So we're just going to continue it going down. Ryan, let's hear your origin story.
All right. Hey, guys. So I'm Rye. I run RyeTheNewsGuy.com, which is a Broadway entertainment news outlet that was started in 2013. And I focus on mostly Broadway interviews, reviews, stories, coverages, and hopefully within the next year, expanding out more to doing live events, maybe getting into producing, doing things through that. And the whole focus of RyeTheNewsGuy.com is that we are changing the game with how we focus on news. It's positive, good, lighthearted news, especially in today's current culture. And that's why I started it years ago. Was I wanted an outlet for entertainment and Broadway to be an intersection for both of positivity and no negativity, and it's taken me to some great heights. I met Andrea actually last year at Broadway Con when I was there for press. I was covering it and just fell in love with her, of course, and the notion of Broadway Makers. And I just think it's so important. The Broadway Makers Alliance. So that's a little bit about me. And yeah, it's the site has taken me to new levels, and it's just been wonderful. So,
yay! I love hearing that, and I love that you're also positive only, because that's kind of what the bwaySHO model is. There's so much negativity in the world, like you're saying, and it's nice to have places that people can just go to and be like, this is only going to make me smile, right? Like I don't have to worry that there could be like an anxiety attack awaiting because there's some like bad review or whatnot. Like there is a place for, hard reviews, and there's a place for that, but it's also really nice to know that there are people out there like you doing these positive things.
Well, and if real quick, that's the thing too. Coming from somebody who used to do theater and perform and has a real appreciation for it, especially over the last few years with working in casting and producing. My reviews, I've made sure that the actors work so darn hard, that it encompasses sort of everything. I never want to bring anyone down, because nobody knows how hard it is to make a show from start to finish, and that it's just you have to relish and be in amazement that people are even up there doing that. So
yes, exactly, very well said. And it's also cool to see that, like, even though we do similar types of things, like, we can work together. That's what this is all about, lifting one another up. I think that's so cool.
I love it, and that's been the biggest, that's been the best thing about Broadway Makers, just how everyone pushes together, even people who are in the same sort of industry. It's wonderful. I just think there needs to be more of that in the industry in general. We can all work together. There's a seat at the table for everyone.
Yes.
One might even say the world is wide enough.
Yes.
One might say that.
Sorry, I just have a head full of Hamilton references after the last week.
Don't we all? Well, just you wait, because I'm sure that'll be continuing.
It'll be nonstop.
It's nonstop. And the introductions are nonstop as well, because Becky, I also have a little Hamilton related scrunchie right here. So why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Becky, and I run Scrunchies for Theatre, and I started this business really recently. So I think it was the beginning of April was when I had the idea, and basically I'd gone home from uni because everything got shut and cancelled, and I was like, I'm bored, I've got nothing better to do, let's make some scrunchies. And I've made scrunchies before for myself with my young enterprise company that I had 4 years ago, and so I knew what I was doing, so I was like, let's do this. And I thought theatres have no funding at the moment, particularly over here, and so I was like, I'm going to make scrunchies and sell them, and all the profits went to acting for others and the Actors Fund, as well as one other charity, which we changed. So that's us.
Yes, I love that we're all the way across the sea.
Yes.
It's so cool to know, that we are expanding that far, right? That we have the reach in England. And also it's so cool that when doing these sorts of, work, I can't help it. Just like, get ready for this. It is what it is. You know what you signed up for.
Hamilton-laden references are super appreciated.
Excellent. Happy to hear it. And I love, though, that you're putting in so much effort and you're donating your time and the profits. Like, I think that's such a nice addition to, there's something to be said about all the work that all of us, like, sole proprietors or nonprofits, or like everyone who has their own little business, and then you're also adding that extra element of giving it back. So bravissimo. Yes, awesome. So I want to say hey to everyone who's chatting along. Be aware that sometimes there might be like a few seconds of lag, and that's just cool because there are 5 people with 5 different internet connections chatting. So that's what life is. So just like in case if that happens, I always like to precursor, like, don't be stressed. This is like a really chill interview. It's more of a conversation, if you will. So saying hi to everyone, Rebecca and Sarah, hello. Ooh, I Aesthetic Sky says, loving that scrunchy pick. I know I say this every time, but you need to do one of these with Beetlejuice the musical.
Might be in the works.
Yes.
We are currently developing a new style. So one of the biggest issues that I've got with this business is that I'm currently using logos which are all copyrighted, but because it is currently all non-profit, I'm able to say, because all the money is going back to these charities, which are theatre charities, I can kind of vaguely get away with it, and I've not had any issues so far. But something that I'm developing is kind of changing it up a bit, removing the logos and putting in quotes that in the style of the logo. So I've started working on that, and I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. So it's really fun, and I've basically got a list of shows which people have requested, and a list of quotes for kind of seeing how I can make it work. So that is in the running of what's coming up.
Ooh, that's so exciting. Right. And this actually brings up an interesting point, because whether you're using a background, a song, an inspiration for a drawing, for a coloring set, right? Like everyone here for a different aspect of what we do has to tiptoe on that line and make sure we're doing everything kosher, by the books. Andrea, I'm going to actually start with you here, because I know we've spoken at Broadway Con. We did the Broadway Makers Alliance, How the Sausage Gets Made. And it was a really interesting conversation to hear, like, you know, I'm going to preface this by saying I don't want the next like 45 minutes to be about copyright law, which could happen. So just like a very snippet thing.
Well,
like,
I'm going to preface that with, I am not a lawyer. Anything I am about to say has zero legal precedent. Okay. Really what it has to do is with respect, and it has to do with some legal definitions around taking something that is copyrighted and being inspired by it and putting your own spin on it.
Yeah.
So, and there's some other interesting things around people who own, you know, we all own our own image. So if a company uses our photo on something, we can go back and say, nope, I didn't do that. Unless we're in a public space, like there's all sorts, like copyright is dense, people, dense. But I think what really comes down to with what a lot of the Broadway makers are doing, or people who are making Broadway related merchandise, is being inspired by the shows and then creating a product that doesn't infringe on the copyright of the shows directly, right? And so for us, we're absolutely inspired by lyrics. Lyrics are a little bit of a gray area, and you can't take too much. You want to take just enough. You want to pay homage. And so for Coloring Broadway, it's been really important to take in the lyric and then look at the theme of the show and the visuals around it. But we can't, for example, do things like taking the picture of the three ladies from Hamilton and their work pose. That is a copyrighted pose. The costumes are copyrighted. The set is copyrighted. It's all doing that. So then you take a step back and look at what you want to create, how you want to create it, and how you can create it in your own way, which like we had talked with Becky about what she's working on. So
yeah.
But it's a hairy area. It's also a fun area because you get to create. I love watching what Laura is doing with all of her fantastic, beautiful interpretations, right? This is that weird place where art, we all look to things, we're inspired by things, and then we want to create things, right? I think SHO, just like you can't copyright a style of broadcasting, but you can be inspired by it and create your own on top of it, right? You don't want to be the same. You don't want to be Dan Rather, but you can be, if he's your inspiration, you can be Dan Rather-esque.
Right. Right. And I love what you're saying about sometimes you get inspired by so many different people and so many different minds at work. So you can have these different pieces that then together make you who you are and what people can expect from your brand. Right. Like, I think it's great to grow your brand. Like I was actually just thinking about this a little bit earlier today because, you know, putting together all of this, right? Like being my own producer, director, on camera talent, and like videographer, Photoshop editor to make the cover photo, right? Like all those different aspects. maybe like 5 years ago, I wouldn't have known how to do that. But by being an on-air reporter in Texas for 2 years, which like had its ups and downs and was very difficult, trained me how to like learn how to do this and go with the flow. And if something's not perfect, to be like, it's okay. Like you're going live at 6 p.m. whether you like it or not. You know, like I would do a 4:30, a 5, and a 6 every day. And that element of like wanting it to be your best, but knowing that it's gonna be as good as you physically can do in that moment without driving yourself crazy is so key for what we do. Laura, I even want to go back to you because we even were going back and forth today because I was working on the Photoshop and sometimes you get new elements or you get new inspiration. And so you're like, oh, wait, I want to update it. And that's okay. But especially with something like you do with like, it's so free flowing, but also there's like that inspiration element. What do you really draw your inspiration from? And how does that kind of evolve throughout the process?
So often what I'll do now is I'll like source my reference imagery specifically from videos. I always take screenshots of videos. So when I'm approaching a show, I'll listen to the cast album a couple different times. I'll watch any videos that it has on YouTube just to get an idea of, what kind of colors are frequently used, what kind of energy, how would this translate visually? And then I'll piece together tons of screenshots and try to arrange it into a composition. And, sometimes something won't work. Sometimes I'll add something in later. And it's a lot of doing a ton, editing it down, doing a ton, editing it down. So, but I have a problem with overworking. So a lot of people associate my imagery with like it being very clean and crisp and just like lofty. It takes like 5 minutes to do that. And then I want to keep adding on to it. And I have to pull back. So usually my issue is telling myself to stop rather than going back and editing. If that makes sense. I don't know if it does.
Yes. I think all of us are
perfectionists in the room. Raise your hand.
I know you can't help it, especially if you're creating your own images and you're your own boss, right? Like I often find that someone else telling me to do something is like, okay, so if you're getting like paid or commission, that totally makes sense. But when you're your own boss and you're like, you know that this means everything. That's why like if someone pays for your work or you buy someone else's jewelry, like I'm wearing Broadway Makers, over
Custom
here.
Broadway.
Custom.
I'm wearing
Broadway
Wonderland.
Yep.
Yes. We know how important it is to support one another. And so we do want to be as best as perfectionists as we can be, but also we know that this is like our livelihood. And it's just a livelihood that everyone sees up close and personal rather than like, oh, you did a great job at the books today at being an accountant. But like, except for the one person you're working with.
Nobody knows that part of it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so. Like I've heard you talk kind of skirt around a couple of things that I seem really relevant right now is that each of us are creatives, right? Whether we would call ourselves that or not, we're creatives. I mean, and that applies to the journalists, it applies to the scrunchie making and to the art. And to me, working with an artist to create Coloring Broadway. But the other thing, we're not business people per se. Right. And so the thing that I keep hearing you say is not only do we have to be really good at our art, but we've had to develop these business skills, which was kind of the reason that we brought Broadway Makers together was because those business skills, I'm really good at doing what I'm doing creatively. You're phenomenal. But what you were talking about 5, 3, 2, I don't know how many years ago, you had to learn all of these back end skills of like, how do I set up the Zoom and how do I create the graphics and how do I set up the page? How do I manage my finances towards a business? Like there's some things that don't get taught when it's like, hey, I like to art.
Yes, that's such a good point, Ryan. Yes. Oh, I can. Do you need a second? I can be really fancy.
Ooh, be fancy, Show. Be fancy.
I had to grab my laptop charger. Sorry.
Oh, No, you're good. Because I
I
was
don't
gonna
want
say,
to do-
I can here. Hold on, watch this. What? I can look. I can change this all up. What? I can even remove my.
Oh, it's me. I'm the host now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I thought it would be fun to show exactly like you're saying that, I learned all of this over the last few months. Like I never used Zoom or StreamYard in this case. And it was trial by fire, like just watching how these interviews have gone from like, through my laptop on Zoom where I had to like learn OBS, which is like a different software and like combine it. And then, then I got StreamYard. So that like upped it a notch. And then I just got this Zoom light or this circle, whatever it's called. What are
The lighting thing.
the lighting thing? There's a fancy
It's a formal term.
Yeah, the ring light, which I love, and it gives that extra glow like Andrea was talking about. And like the fact that, at the beginning it was really stressful to be like, how are these people doing these fancy backgrounds and how are they having all these guests on it and how are they doing this? And then you just take some time and you do your research, you ask around. Asking around is sometimes like the best thing you can do because you're not alone. You are not the first person that ever had to do this. And this is exactly what Andrea was talking about, right? Like that's the beauty of the Broadway Makers Alliance is that, we have this private group, if you're a member, that you can ask questions, that you can share what you've been working on, that you can be proud, right? Like sometimes you do something and you're like, yo, I just did this series and I'm almost at 50 interviews. What? That's crazy. And it's so much fun to celebrate that with your friends and people who get it.
Exactly. Like in my Muggle job that I have in a whole different arena of leadership training and being all formal, I can't talk about how cool it was to jump on a conversation with these Broadway makers. But in the Broadway Makers Alliance group, I can jump on and say, hey, look what we're working on and share it with people who get it. But also, I think the other part that you brought up was the safe space. Like Becky, Rye, Laura, I've seen all of you pop things in there and go, I'm working on this. How does it feel? SHO, when you were creating your logo, you were like, hey, which ones do you like? It's such a great safe space with people like and trust, who know you, who know the brand and the area that we're in and can speak to it from that perspective. So
yes, exactly. And Ryan, I want Rye. I like
or
the
Ryan,
Rye.
I'm sorry.
No, Rye, you tell me what I know. Rye is fine.
Oh no, we can't hear you. Hold on. Are you muted?
I can hear him.
I can hear him.
I can.
You can hear me?
That's fun. Are you?
SHO is learning something new on the fly.
I know.
Can you hear me?
Watch it live, folks.
Can't try fixing up. This is so funny. Look at this. We were talking about it.
Are you able to hear me?
Now I can. Okay, cool. Okay. That is so funny. Talk about like learning in the moment.
Yeah, this is the show must, as you say, the show must go on. This is the true now I get to see what it's like when I'm watching all these things, But I'm sorry, you started to say something. I apologize.
No. Well, I wanted to hear from you because, I have my own experiences as a reporter and doing the interviews, but it's also so fascinating to hear other people and what they, how they prepare. Like for me, I love to watch as many interviews as possible or like look up everyone's work or like check their Instagram. Like I have my own strategy and I just love to hear like what inspires you before you start an interview.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a little bit of sort of everything. I try to make everything my own and be my own person. One of the things I've learned is to not be, a carbon copy. You can like the style of Ryan Seacrest, right? But you're never going to be, and you are not Ryan Seacrest, right? For instance, you can like, what, X person does. So I think what I do a lot, especially for my video interviews, is I will see the styles of sort of how people do it and say, okay, what can I incorporate? What can I take from it? I had training. I went to school for broadcast journalism. Actually, I majored in that. So, you know, a lot of it is just is preparing, is, you know, what's the style of it. I try to be very, you know, casual and fun in my interviews. So, you know, how do I, you know, do that? And also, one of the things, you know, we were talking about safe space, and I'm very vulnerable in the sense that I know that I have a tendency to, like, let's say, talk too fast at times, where I get very excited to talk to somebody. You know, I'm talking to like Nathan Lane or somebody big, and all of a sudden I'm like, you know, it's like, you know, a word vomit, right? You're like, and you don't realize it at the time, but you know, then you go back and watch it and you say, oh my gosh. So, but it's between looking at other people's, but also going back and looking at my work and also saying, how can I improve? And I'm somebody that I've always been open to for constructive criticism. I mean, Andrea has been great in sort of all aspects of helping me in general. But, you know, because I want to know how to do better too. I'm not, you know, like all of us, we're one man, one woman, one person show. So how do I, you know, make this better and make myself as good as can be for someone who hasn't had, I don't want to say professional training, but who left school to major in this, but, you know, didn't go into a field and working directly in reporting work directly, you know, sort of did it himself. So that's been, that makes sense.
100%. I love that. And Andrea, I want to get to you in a second, but a quick thing. I agree with that. And it's one of the toughest parts of what we do, which is, you know, it's stressful enough sometimes to be in the moment and do the interview. And then you think, did I say that? Or did I not say that? Did I say it too quickly? Did I do like, and I see my friend Andy's over here commenting, and like yesterday messaged Andy and was like, did I say something that I didn't mean to say? Did I say it in the wrong way? Like during one of the interviews. And you have to sometimes just be like, all right, let's get back to work and look at the interviews. And sometimes it's cringeworthy to watch yourself, which, like, you know, you hear actors all the time say, like, I don't like to watch my work. And at first I'd be like, I don't get it. Like, you're an actor. Why wouldn't you want to watch your work? That's like why you do it. And now that I like see myself in front of the camera, or like I watched some of the footage of my interviews from college and I thought that was good. And I'm like, girl, what were you thinking? Ooh, that's a fun memory lane thing to see some of the interviews and just like your style and how comfortable you are on camera. So I just like, I very much relate to what you're saying. Andrea, what did you want to add?
No, it was Ryan when he said it was I word vomited. I was like, I like to call that word salad. Because oftentimes it's not just spewing things. It's like, I want to be clear, but I can't get to that clarity point. So I say a lot of words and I toss it in a salad and I'm like, here, you sort it out. So.
I like that much better.
And I also like to not say the word vomit. That's just kind of what I think.
Right. That's a good point. And Ryan, since we're like in the moment here, I'm gonna say, are you able to like tilt your camera down a little? We're getting a lot of headroom, and if we're gonna be talking about like change, see, look at this work. I love it.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That's what I'm saying is like, I would never normally do that in an interview, but I would think I'd be like, oh, your head's cut off, or oh, there's a little this, but like, it's sometimes better to take a step back and be like, look, let's fix this in the moment. And then rather than being like awkwardly at the end, like, oh, I wish I said something. And I'm only saying that because I say that to myself all the time. So,
or it's okay. Even like what I've learned is it's okay to, if you have the time, to take a second and say, I'm sorry, can we do that again? Or, you know, you're watching it unfold as you're both being the one person reporter and watching the screen, watching everything. And you're worried because you're like, well, I have X person, and, you know, but then you get done and you say, actually, I'm sorry, could we actually do that again? Or would you mind, you look wonderful, but I want to make sure I get you, let's say, fully, can you do that again? And I found that has actually saved me, instead of like being done with it, watching it and be like, how am I going to edit this to like make them not, you know, look, how am I going to, you know.
Right. Preach it. Yes. And as a heads up, your head is a little cut off now. In case if you care, I don't care, but I just yes, perfect. Wow, love it. No, stop saying sorry. You're
now
perfect.
Everybody has had a beautiful lesson in how to frame your face.
Yes, exactly. But I honestly, Vogue. That is yes, work it. That is such a great point. And it's like so many instances come to my brain, but this one very specific one with Alex Brightman, who, like, speaking of Beetlejuice, as we did before with Becky, and Becky, we're going to get to you in a second here. But I covered the Beetlejuice, like, cast album release event at the Barnes and Noble, right? And it was so much fun. And we actually, Laura Haywood, who's also a Broadway Makers Alliance member, the two of us were stuck on this subway that just like stopped for like 10 minutes. And we're experiencing some delays, just chill out. And so I'm like panicking. I have all my equipment and I was going to be like 5 minutes early. Now I'm like 5 minutes late. And this starts right on time. No room or whatever. So we rush in and we get set up. It's fine. So I'm still, when you're like really ready for something, but then something throws you off. And so now the rest of the time, your brain is like, how can I like catch up? And so after all of this, Alex Brightman, who's like amazing, he's been on the series before. I've interviewed him probably the most out of everyone, which is absurd and so cool. And he's so lovely. And he was like doing this fun thing with like the cast album or like the record where he was like spinning it and I was getting like a video to turn into a GIF or a GIF. I'm going to say GIF, but I just had to like throw the elephant out in the room there. And it like wasn't really in focus. And I was like, whatever, like, don't say anything. He's already being nice enough to do this. So he does it. And then I take a second out and I'm like, no, he's being nice enough to do this. Ask him to do it again and refocus it. And he was like, okay. And he did it. And it's just like, sometimes you're in your head when you're by yourself working and there's no one to be, I always call the friends who help me my trusty sidekicks, which I see Ashley saying, like, SHO, are you being Rye's trusty sidekick? Like, sometimes you just got to work together. And sometimes if you don't have another friend there, you got to be your own trusty sidekick, because he's gonna say yes, and if he says no, he's gonna be really nice about it and it's gonna be okay. But if you don't ask and you go home and you can't use it because it's blurry, like, that's just like, now you're sad and he was being nice in the first place. So it just like everything that you just said, I wanted to like say back to you that 100% you are.
And always,
go ahead. Sorry, Rye.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. That's one of the things that I've learned. For instance, it was funny. It's Ashley saying about who's Rye's trusty sidekick. I always, I do a lot of these events. I'm always like, I don't want to bother anyone by asking them to help me. I feel like if I ask them to help me, I'm gonna, I don't want to like bother them. So I always, as you say, get worked up, and I do it myself. And then I'm like, meanwhile, while I'm interviewing somebody, I'm like, if I just had somebody here to help me, it would be great. I started to like, it's okay to ask somebody for help. For instance, in November at the Drama League Gala, Lindsay, who's one of our wonderful members, she was absolutely read Broadway. She does a re-theater, I think. Re-theater. And she was just kind enough to help me and just say, oh, I'm just here to help you. And, I'm just happy to be along for the ride and whatever you need. And, don't worry, I have your back. And it felt so good. And, you realize it's okay to ask for help and to, say, I want to make sure I do this right from a standpoint of, I want to make sure the content looks good. But, I need some help as well.
Yes.
Well, SHO, you mentioned earlier, and Ryan spoke to this in that wonderful little piece that just happened, was that thing of being in your head and of second guessing yourself. So I heard Ryan just speak to that in second guessing whether he should ask for help and have somebody help. SHO, in your Alex Brightman example, like getting in your head about just saying, hey, could you do that again? Yeah. And I bet Laura and Becky also have moments where they get in their head, because I'm always in my head. I'm in my head right now about, am I saying this right? And should I have interrupted so much? This inner head conversation bullshit, sorry, just really, really is something that I am passionate about, people figuring out what their inner monologue is and how it gets in their way. But I bet Laura and Becky can share some fun bits of being in your head about things as well.
Well, I have social anxiety disorder, so it's always fun being in my head. I was even mentioning it when I was making work, like needing to figure out when to stop, something always needing to be added on because it's not good enough. That's being in my head. Being at the stage door, trying to make new connections by sharing artwork with people. Suddenly, like, I feel like I'm speaking in tongues, like I'm just not coherent with words. What are words anyway?
What are they?
Leaving afterwards thinking, oh my God, like I messed up. I could have said something different. And it's like, no, you're fine. You sound like a human. I'm sure they seemed like they liked it. Like, you're okay. And a lot of needing extra people around you to be like, stop for a second. Breathe. It's all good.
Just breathe.
Just breathe.
Oh, that's a great Becky.
Yeah. But to answer that, I'm always in my head. I get it.
Yeah. And I mean, same for me.
Yes.
Like I'm naturally a really fast talker. So doing things like this where I've got to talk slowly is really difficult because I will just talk and I'll get faster and faster without realizing it. And particularly with like talking to people from another country with the accent difference. It's like I've had people at stage say, "Can you repeat that? I didn't catch it because of the accent and because you're talking quickly." I'm like, "I'm sorry." I constantly fiddle with my hair in the scrunchy business. Like you've always already noticed me thinking it so much, and I think that almost also bugs me as well. When I'm out stage, I'm like, am I doing too much with my hands? Am I okay? But yeah, even that's it.
That is such a good point. I think Rye could also understand. What do I do with my hands when you're doing an interview?
Oh, yes.
What?
Like
hands. Reporter 101.
Oh yeah, hands.
Handography.
And it's funny, and talking about sort of like, I know it and I'm very conscious of it, and it's hard because I've always talked with my hands since when I can remember, and it's one of the reasons why I never became an actor for TV, because all I do is move around. But I know that, like as you said, I talk too fast. I have an instance of talk too fast, use my hands a lot, and you watch yourself, and it's like, did I move my hands too fast? Did I say this? Did I do that? And that is a big problem for me, and I relate to that on all levels. So.
Yeah. And quick note, when I showed this necklace before, I always get it flipped because Broadway Custom is this amazing group that I interviewed about their summer program and have 2 Tony Award-winning producers together. Custom Broadway, the wonderful Chelsea is involved in this and made this, which is what I was going to grab. So I just wanted to correct myself in the what we were just saying before, that sometimes your brain is like, I feel like that wasn't right. Let me double check and fix it. But Becky, I want to go back to you because I think it's so cool. I love a good English accent. I don't know really how lovely this is, but I've been using it for quite some time, so might well use it now. So I'm going to ask my question while using my English accent. So when you go to shows on the West End or come here to Broadway, do you find any difference? Like, I just went there. I saw Hamilton. I saw Anne Juliet. Oh, one of my favorites. Are there any differences you notice between the two? Right? Is it so good? Oh, can't wait to see it again.
I think it depends on the show, particularly. So I think the only show I've seen Wicked, Aladdin, Hamilton, and Come From Away are the 4 shows I've seen both on Broadway and in the West End. And in general, they were the same. Seeing Come From Away was very different on Broadway, given the story of it. And that was so much more emotional, seeing it there, knowing that that's kind of where like it all happened. And then the stage door experience was really different. Like it's a lot more managed on Broadway. Like you've got areas where a lot of the time in London it is just stand along the wall, and they'll the actors that want a stage door will go along the line. The actors that don't will just walk off. And so it is very much different in that sense. But seeing shows in general is the same. I mean, besides the fact that we get free playbills, we don't. Like I have to pay for my programs here, which is
Yes, I've heard about that.
it's hard on the bank.
Yeah, you don't get playbills. You have to actually pay. I still find that so fascinating.
But it's also, you get like a proper program, right? You get like
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to look through. I got the one for Anne Juliet because, like I said, I saw it. I went there and I saw it on the Thursday, and I was like, cool. So I'm coming back tomorrow. This is too good. And I went back the next day. I got that program. I got a tote bag. And guess who just like happened to show up that day? Andrea, I think you know, but
I know who that is.
I just said it.
Say it again.
Mr. Lin.
Manuel Miranda. Yep. It's so funny how it all comes back to Hamilton, right? Like we just happened to go back and Lynn just walked through and it was like, it was so cool. So I just, yes, it is interesting the differences between getting the playbill and having to buy a program, but also getting the cool like art and facts and getting to know more about the actors and the set designers and everyone involved. And fun fact, Bill Sherman, who worked on the orchestrations at Anne Juliet, is coming on the series next Wednesday because he's also with Freestyle Love Supreme, nice. Which has the We Are Freestyle Love Supreme coming out next Friday. So that's very exciting. Stay tuned. Also, I see a bunch of people. Craig, hello. Parody Bill, love what you do.
Yes.
It's so much fun to see everyone. We were saying this a little bit before, but being a part of Broadway Makers Alliance, like, not that this is like a giant ad, like, come join us, but see what you can do. But it is really fun to see the creativity at work and all of these minds at work. I can't, you know what, whatever, it's fine. It's just like, sometimes you have to double up with the references that you already use. And seeing the way that people use social media, especially these days now that we're in like quarantine with Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter, no ifs, ands, or buts. That's not a political statement. That is simply a fact. And I always like to make sure to say that at least once during these videos. So if you only tune into this one, you know how I stand and how hopefully you stand as well. Have you noticed any changes? Laura, I'm going to go with you first here. Any changes throughout quarantine that your work has been kind of changing, or the way that you work has changed?
Well, my way of working almost changed completely when it came to quarantine. So prior to March, I exclusively worked traditionally, like on paper, on canvas.
Oh, wow.
And I switched to digital. I got myself an iPad because my thesis project that I was doing for school changed into an animation. So I taught myself how to use kind of new software for that. And I was finding, I think I like this method of working for my illustrations. And I just kept practicing. Some of them ended up in Playbill. So then I was like, okay, now this is definitely what I'm doing. So that really changed. When protests started, I wanted to change my platform where it wasn't just about me, where I was sharing the work of Black artists that I really, really admire. We're kind of doing like Instagram lecture series on art history, Black contemporary art. So those have been really fun to research and share out, see reactions. And yeah, that's how my usage of social media has changed, at least on my brand platform.
Yeah. And Becky, I've noticed that when you post like, hey, I have a new scrunchie, today at noon, and then again at like 3 or 4, the scrunchies are being released, and those get snatched up so quickly. What does that feel like for you?
It was insane at the beginning. So when I first started it was just a small idea. I got a fat quarter of each of the designs I wanted to do, and I made some, and I said, posted them on, I think it was 3 different West End fan groups. So one for Hamilton, one for Six, one for Dear Evan Hansen, and I think one for Anne Juliet as well. So I posted them on there and said, hey, I'm doing this. All the profits are going to these 2 charities. Who wants them? And there wasn't much response at first. And it was kind of, yeah, this is cool. And then when so that was when I first put the idea out. And then I got the fabric to make them for myself and to make them for my friends. Posted them again. And within 24 hours, I had to close the pre-orders because I had 150 orders for 500 scrunchies, mostly within the first hour, and then it kind of kept going overnight. So I was working until 1, 2 a.m. just to sort those out because it was purely just done through Facebook Messenger. I broke my Facebook Messenger to the point that people couldn't message me. Like, they'd message me and I wasn't receiving it, which was quite stressful because all these people would have put these orders in and they couldn't because I wasn't getting the messages. Because I think you can only have up to like 50 like request messages, and I'd basically gone past that quite quickly. And so that was kind of stressful, but we made that work. And then we ordered the fabric. So the orders we had, made them, and then a month later we were able to ship them all out. And then basically with my leftover fabric, I was like, well, I may as well sell this lot and put it on a shop. So set up my Shopify store, and then through that said, okay, restock this like Sunday at 12. And then they pretty much sold out within the hour. And there were a further 300 scrunchies in there. And so I kept buying more fabric, kept putting them up, and they were still just set out. And it has slowed down, thankfully, because it was a little stressful. And like I was working long hours during the day. Like thankfully I finished uni by this point. So I didn't have anything else to do. And I was just working long hours making scrunchies. It was just me, my sister's help, my mum's helped, and my sewing machine. And it was literally just sitting there sewing and sorting them out. And yeah. So it's been crazy.
And how are you funding that?
So I started off funding it through my student loan that we get. So over in the UK, we get given student loans, which we then pay off once we have a job for university. And so we'd been given our student loan for our final term, but I didn't have to spend it on food or accommodation because I was back home because uni got cancelled.
Gotcha.
So I had this money I'd been given, which I obviously then have to pay off later. But I thought, so I basically used a portion of that money to buy the fabric, and then paid that back to myself. And then since then, I've been using the profits have all gone to charity. So each month, I'm kind of taking money out of my account, which then goes back into my account, and it's kind of almost like one step behind. But yeah,
amazing! Wow, it's so cool to especially hear someone like so young have this amazing idea and be inspired. And I think you're inspiring a lot of other people with what you do. So thank you for doing that, and keep it up.
No problem.
Yep.
So Andrea, I want to talk about, we had this amazing Coloring Broadway. Yes. It was so much fun, taking advantage of the Hamel Mania 2.0. Nice, beautiful. And having that Coloring Broadway Hamilton coloring party. Can you talk about, there were so many people, there was so much fun. Like, what was the idea behind it, and how did it all get done?
Well, so what?
I said, how did the sausage get made?
How does the sausage get made? Well, first, wait, no, we're not going to go there. Actually, so what I've done with the Coloring Project and Coloring Broadway, the Coloring Project is the original business that I started before Coloring Broadway became a thing and took over my life in a wonderful way. But we would do a first Thursday coloring night at a local mall here, sponsored by a group called the Handmade Showroom. And they are a collective that showcases local artists from the Pacific Northwest in their showroom. And so we've got some of our stuff there for sale in a retail space. And then then the mall that they're located in kind of sponsors us, gives us a place out in the mall, sets up the tables, and I just bring my coloring supplies. And once a month I sit down, and anywhere between 12 to 20 people that I've never met before show up, sit down, and color. And it's one of my favorite things with coloring is because it's like any good team building activity where it gives you something to do. So you actually end up talking more, right? You sit down, you open your pens, you start coloring, and conversations happen that would never otherwise have happened with a group of people who never have met each other. So when quarantine hit, we went, how to take that forward, because we were doing it in person. And we had a couple of fits and starts about getting it scheduled. But when Hamilton was coming up, I was like, this seems like a really good opportunity. We should definitely actually advertise this a little bit more. But we didn't do a ton of advertising. I put it as an event on the group. Ashley helped us share it out into a couple of different places, and we had over 30 people from 12 different states and 3 different countries show up. We had somebody from Bolivia, we had Becky and another person from the UK who joined us until the wee hours of the morning, because it was from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time, which is 8 to 11 EST, which was what time, Becky?
I think it was 1 to 4.
So we watched Becky put a blanket on and start to fall asleep is what we did towards the end of it.
And just
but it was so wonderful to see people just like logging on, sitting, chatting back and forth, and coloring at the same time. And to their credit, they stayed on for 3.5 hours, because towards the end there was this like core group of about 12 people that were like, hey, let's talk, and they like held up all their coloring Broadway stuff, and they had handfuls of it, and I was just like, I'm gonna cry a little bit. But yeah, it was so fun to get together and talk in an almost similar way to how you would if you were able to do it in person. I mean, I know we had to go back and forth with the virtual and one at a time, but it still seemed to work out. I will say the one thing is I got much less coloring done this way. Personally, everybody else got to color. I was like, ooh, let me manage conversations and facilitate. Oh, look, I'm not coloring. Okay. So now I'm like, should I pre-color so that I have something to show?
Oh, maybe have like 2, like one pre-colored and then one that you can like have fun, just like sketching.
Various stages.
Yeah, various stages. I was like, they'll never know that I didn't color it during the thing.
They always show that like at, the cooking shows or whatever, because
they don't that fast. It doesn't happen in a half an hour.
No. I don't look at this beautiful thing. I don't bake very well or often, so I like can't even think of the terms, but I do watch that show sometimes on the interwebs, and it's very fun.
On all those interwebs. But yeah, so that was how the coloring night came into effect, and I think based on its success, we'll probably do another one. I don't know if as many people will jump on because it might not be Hamilton related, but we did have a couple of requests for doing it theme or show specific. So we could do a Beetlejuice themed coloring night where there's a coloring page that goes out to everybody who joins us. Beetlejuice. I see everybody with little bits of Beetlejuice all over the place. So we can do it's coming. She says it's coming. But yeah, so I am totally open to that. I really love getting to like just talk to the people who end up purchasing my things. And it was great. I mean, not to turn this into a business conversation, but it was great market research. It was great for me to talk to the people who are using the things that I create and see what they like, see what they don't like, see what they want.
Mm-hmm. That's such a great point. And it is, I feel like any conversation when you get Broadway makers together becomes a conversation about, it just flows in with that, because it is, it's true that, we do this because we love it, right? It's because we have this passion and we turn that into our work, which I'm very excited to hear Jen talk more about. She's coming on the second rendition of Broadway Makers Alliance on The Show Must Go Online, coming to July 23rd. Stay tuned. And it's, she always talks about it's so well about turning your passion into your work. She has like this saying that's amazing. I'm going to keep that for her. But it's amazing. Oh, yes. Stay tuned. Just you wait. And it is, it's interesting to find that you start something because you can't get enough of it, or you notice that there was like maybe a gap in the world that you see and what your, you know, specific gifts are. And that's where you can kind of like join, right? Like being a trained journalist, a professional who worked in television, but also like can't get enough of Broadway, right? Like I will happily just sit in a theater for hours nonstop and just like soak it in. I said, okay, how can I marry those two things? And there are other people doing similar things like we were talking about before, but everyone has their own specific, you know, niche, their own thing that they can add that makes it special to them. And that was really fun creating bwaySHO. And now I have a Patreon. You know, you can join the fun, patreon.com/bwaySHO. We have the Showtreons. We do monthly video chats and trivia, and you get exclusive content. See how I just magically worked that in there. There are so many things that no matter what you're doing, when your passion is your work, it does kind of turn into that, like, I am not talking about it all the time, but if there's an easy way to plug what I'm doing that doesn't affect anyone, but, you know, maybe you would also love to hear about my interview with the Freestyle of Supreme members, or, oh, are you a Hadestown fan? Like, on Monday, Joelle Blackman's coming on the series. You know, like there's an easy way sometimes to like plug it. And especially with those Facebook groups, which like I didn't have growing up. I didn't have these amazing Facebook groups for Hamilton, Beetlejuice, and Juliet. I hope might have one. I haven't seen it yet, but I should really check. Do they?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Please do. I'm obsessed. And I've just been sitting in my obsession alone with Anne Juliet and a few friends who've also seen it or heard the cast album. And like Hadestown and Dear Evan Hansen, like it's so cool nowadays to have those communities that you can just be like, I also love what I'm doing. Oh, hey, I have something I'm working on. You might be interested in it as well. So let's do that. Now, I'm just going to say that we've been chatting for nearly an hour and I want to be respectful of your time. So I'm going to go around and everyone can say if they have like any last thoughts that they like came into today really wanting to make sure everyone hears. You can totally do your own like pitch. Please, this is the time and space for it. And if there are any nonprofits that you want everyone to hear about. So Becky, why don't we start with you?
Okay, my Instagram and Facebook are both at Scrunchies Fall Theatre, 4 being the number 4. The links to our Shopify page are all on there. We restock every Sunday at 12 noon British summer time, which I think is 7 a.m. Eastern time, and then figure it out from there. So it is early. So I have had to set alarms to get them at that time. Definitely worth it from what I've heard. But yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Amazing. Ryan, take it away. Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm getting so much.
No, so you can, I mean, lots of exciting things, obviously always in the works and always happening or always, you know, on the way of being established. But you can keep up with me at, you know, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Rye the News Guy. That's Rye, R-Y-E, the News Guy. And then obviously you can follow me on RyeTheNewsGuy.com. Again, Rye with me. And yeah, you know, I'm grateful that you had me on, and had all of us on, and be able to talk about this. As far as foundations, I would say, you know, the Actors Fund is doing incredible work. I just seeing them during this painful time of, you know, everything and the work they're doing, the help that they're doing, and I believe it was them, or I think Broadway Cares, one of them, that so they're opening up their criteria from, you know, expanding it so more people can get the help that they need instead of just the criteria that they used to have, is excellent too. They're an incredible organization for somebody who loves Broadway as much as I do. They help everyone from actors to stagehands to ushers, you know, everyone sort of all encompassed. So they're an incredible foundation. I love them. And, you know, I think it's theactorsfund.org, and you can go to learn more about them. So I really plug the Actors Fund.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, they've been doing so many great benefits and videos and getting behind the scenes. concerts have been just amazing. So please, if you can support them, please do. Andrea.
Oh my goodness. About charities, I like to say find the one that fits what you're passionate about and give to them. There are so many. We've already heard about what Becky's doing and what Rye said. I think it's really easy for me to get overwhelmed, feeling like, wait, there's so many to contribute to, and then I have no money in my bank account. So find the one that speaks to you, that really fits what you're passionate about, and please give there. There are definitely Black Lives Matter charities that are in need of funding right now. There are theater and arts organizations as well. Pick the one that works for you and go down that road, all of those things. Hello, word salad. So Coloring Broadway, obviously, I would love everybody who is listening, everybody who watches this, to try us out. We've got some great mindfulness activity freebies on our website, on our web store. So if you haven't tried us, download one of those, try it out. My big passion is melding mindfulness with musical theater and taking those lessons that are inherent in these beautiful shows that we watch, and we sit in theaters and we take it in and we reflect, and having a moment to do that again. So if you can sit down, put your cast album on, get your Sharpies out. I really do need to talk to Sharpie. Get your Sharpies out, color, and spend some time self-reflecting about what those shows meant to you and how they changed you. That's the best thing that I could ever hope to give to the world, are those moments of self-reflection. You can find us on Instagram at Coloring Broadway and on Facebook at Coloring Broadway. I am very rarely on the Twitters, so Coloring bway, if you go there, I will retweet anything I'm tagged in, but don't tweet too much. And then I will let bwaySHO talk about BMA if you would like, or if you'd like, I can talk about it. But also thanks everybody who showed up in the comments. I've been reading these. It's been great to see you here. If you're just tuning in and didn't tune in live, hello, send us comments or send us questions. Happy to answer and lovely to talk to you.
Beautifully said. Yes. And the cool thing about this is that it's there forever, ever. So you can tune in at any time. And we're always, I mean, for me speaking, and I know you just said it as well, like if you ever have questions or comments, you can message me at bwaySHO, and I'm happy to respond, because I think growing together and raising each other up is the best thing we can do. So I just wanted to say that, and that is so true about Broadway Makers Alliance. I'm going to first flip it over to Laura. If you would prefer to talk also about Broadway Makers Alliance, in addition, please feel free. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, to second what Andrea said about charities, I also agree, like find something that really speaks to you and the communities that you're a part of. But I would like to boost the Okra Project, which is doing really amazing work. They're delivering hot meals and resources to Black trans people all over the world. And that's really, really important work right now. So there's that. That's my charity I've been contributing to past month or two. You can find me at Laura Bonacci Art across the social media channels. I'm more so on Instagram and Twitter, not so much Facebook, but like if you message me on Facebook, like I'll definitely get to you and we'll chat. So you can buy prints from me as well. Wait, there we go. You can buy prints through my website, laurabonacci.com, find the shop link through there, or my commissions are open if you want to work together. Like, see what I have to offer, and if that somehow fits into your schema of things, like I'd love to connect. I'm also running the Broadway Makers Alliance Instagram, if you want to follow at Broadway Makers, supporting all of our makers, and it's like a catalog of all the things that we're doing, and we're spotlighting products and services that we're all up to. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Beautifully said. Yes, thank you. And I too have been donating a lot to the Okra Project, because it's, you know, there are so many, and it's like, I feel like every month now there's like a little bit more mindfulness to be donating to Actors Fund and Broadway Cares Equity Fight Saves and GLAD and the Okra Project, that finding a little piece how to give back. And, you know, I've been fortunate. I have this Patreon, as I was saying, and I feel like the gift of getting to be supported is getting to support other people as well. So like commissioning my friend Chelsea, who's coming on the series tomorrow, you can find her at Illustrating Diva on Instagram. She took my bwaySHO logo that I like, you know, did by hand, and she glammed it up. And we've been working on this other thing that she sent me the final today. And y'all, wait for it. It is stunning. She has been a mind at work for sure. And it's really cool when you work with your friends, or you get other things from your friends, that you then get to like say, look how cool they are. And oh my God, she did this. Or, oh my God, did you see what he did? And just raise each other up. And that's what Broadway Makers Alliance is. That's what being a part of the theater community in general is all about. And it's so, so cool. Rye, you have a YouTube channel, yes? Did you mention that?
Yes, I do. So I have a YouTube channel. I would love if you subscribe. It's Rye the News Guy, but I don't have enough followers to have an official URL. Show, I know you know my struggle with this, because I know you were having this a few months ago. So if you could, all you got to type in on YouTube is Rye the News Guy. You'll see it pop up. And subscribe to my channel. I would love that. Or I think it's 1,000 or 500 subscribers, and then I can have a actual youtube.com/Rye the News Guy. So please,
Yes.
find me on YouTube. Yes, thank you, Jeff.
Yes, of course. Believe me, like you said, I know the struggle, because they did raise it to 1,000 to get to that monetization and the custom URL. So, I always joke about in these videos, like, hey, like and subscribe, like you've seen for like the last 5 years those YouTubers say, but it's actually super helpful. And if you can subscribe to Rye's channel, that would be great. If you can subscribe to mine and any of your friends that might have it, it's not super, like, it doesn't do anything for you in the sense of it doesn't like bother you. You can turn on notifications or off notifications, but it means so much to us. So tell your friends, tell your family, subscribe.
Those and other secret business tips for behind the scenes things are also things that we talk about at Broadway Makers. Like, how do I do the thing that gets more subscribers to do the thing? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. How the sausage gets made, all about that. So thank you all of you for coming on and chatting with me today. And thank y'all for watching at home. It's been so much fun seeing your comments and being able to respond. And if we didn't respond to all of your questions that you might have, please message us, because we are here for you. We are happy to be a big theater community. And I appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your day, and see you at the show.
Bye.
Bye.